Hello, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Professor, where we respond to your questions on everything from history to politics to political philosophy to culture. All those things that matter to us in our common life as citizens together.
All right, here's one from Danielle, and he says, with the new website, I seem to have a better view of the studio in which you record your replies to Ask the Professor. And while watching one of the recent ones, you noticed that on the bookshelf over your left shoulder is a copy of an anthology of Mickey Spillane novels. Mickey Spillane? Not what I expected to find on your bookshelf. It said he would like to know more about your private reading habits, and asking, or especially good hard-boiled man's man detective novels, or more generally a list of reading guilty pleasures. If I may be so bold as to put Spillane in that category, he said, unless of course those books are mine. Go.
Well, that certainly is one of my prized possessions. We do try to limit the number of books in the house, and therefore the ones that you see are the ones that have survived the culling process.
We're down to about 5,000.
There's Mickey Spillane, unembarrassedly. I'm with G.K. Chesterton on this, speaking of my reading habits. Certainly I devour Chesterton. Chesterton once said that really he likes to read either very profound literature, or else he likes to read what is regarded as pulp, as one might call it escapism, though J.R.R. Tolkien once said that there's nothing wrong with escapism if you're a prisoner. And my favorite book of all time, if I'm allowed to call it one book, is indeed The Lord of the Rings, which is not, in my view, escapism except in Tolkien's sense. And I would make the same point about Mickey Spillane, although he's not Tolstoy when it comes to his writing style. He's not even Charles Dickens. He is writing about a world in which, surprisingly, and in an often unpleasant and seedy way, virtue is rewarded and evil is punished and foiled. The world that we want to live in, the world that we maybe intuit that in some grand metaphysical way we do live in, but the world that we often seem not to live in the immediate and in the here and now. And I'm reminded another of my favorite authors in this genre, Raymond Chandler, explaining about the enduring appeal of the American detective story. He said, down these mean streets a man must go who is himself neither mean nor afraid. And that is certainly true.
That's Humphrey Bogart.
Exactly. All these classic characters. Now, Mike Hammer, I was thinking of this Meat Hammer, Pogo satire. Among other things, by the way, he is the original Rambo. One of the reasons that Mike Hammer is so out of control, including a tendency to resort to violence to solve cases rather readily, is because of traumatic experiences in the war. Only in his case, it was the war in the Pacific, in the Second World War. But yes, I love to read that kind of stuff. I love to read things like Sherlock Holmes. But it's not to forget about the world. It's to understand how we might live in the world so as to make it a better place. I'm also addicted, by the way, to old-time radio. You can get this stuff, literally thousands of episodes, free on iTunes through it used to be Family Podcast. It's somewhere in that general area.
Well, just use the search function, you'll find it.
Yeah. And
they're
by the way,
very prevalent.
Yeah, you make it seem easier than some people find it, he confessed. But I remember at one point, I don't think it's true anymore, but for a long time, Mickey Spillane was the most translated author in the world. And all the highbrows, one despises this. You think, well, how come this great literature that you're trying to get us to read doesn't appeal to people? Why is it that this depiction of life as empty and appalling doesn't grasp the popular imagination? And I mentioned Chesterton at the beginning, and I'm going to wrap up with him. Although, in fact,
his fiction is terrible.
I am not. Yeah, I don't like his fiction nearly as much as his nonfiction. Too often, I find his characters are cardboard cutout stand-ins for ideas. There, I said it. I criticized Chesterton.
It can happen.
But he once said that one of the great jokes of existence is that what the wisest people are saying and what the most ignorant people are saying are surprisingly often the same. And so the popular values that you find in Sherlock Holmes or in Mickey Spillane or other stuff that's not James Joyce corresponds with what the deepest thinkers have discovered about the human condition and about morality, including, definitely in this category, J.R.R. Tolkien, with his profound meditation on existence and morality and the meaning of life.
Yeah, and that's not trashy at all. Like Tom Clancy. Tom Clancy's not trashy, and I love reading this.
Yeah, or even Michael Crichton, all these kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Just because it's a good read doesn't mean it's a bad book. Right. It's really important to stand up for this. Mm-hmm. So by all means, all these kinds of things, the now lost noir novels of with the hero Race Williams by John Carroll Daly. I can't find them anywhere anymore. Don't ask for this in a modern bookstore. But there is a wonderful world out there of novels in which the heroes are brave and through perseverance against impossible odds, they win meaningful victories. And I can't get enough of that stuff.
Right.
If you're enjoying this work, please visit my website. That's www.johnrobson.ca. Make a contribution to sustain us in producing these videos, and also to submit questions, because every question that we answer here is one that's submitted by a viewer or a reader.